You're listening to another episode of the Anna Vivo podcast. Thank you for your time.
I really don't.
And you can take a drink as you need to, and if you need to cough, you can look away and cough, and whatever you need to do. And so,
Okay.
And we'll just go until we're done with questions.
Okay.
Whatever you want to talk about. So,
Okay.
Should we pray first?
Yes.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this sweet technology that is pretty cool. And we thank you for the opportunity to learn more about my grandmother, and also time for her to share part of her life, parts that I've never heard before myself, maybe, and parts that maybe other people haven't heard, and just get to know more of my own legacy and my children's legacy as well. Thank you for this time with Graham. We pray that you would guide our words, help us to just enjoy the conversation and be relaxed. We pray all this in your holy mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I'm going to start it off with a little intro that I do for the podcast, and you can just listen to the fun sound here. So, all right, welcome back to the Anna Vivo podcast. I am here today with none other than my very own grandmother, and we are currently sitting around the dining room table at her place, and beautiful view out of Penn Cove in Coopeville, Washington. And we're happy to be back. So, Graham, welcome.
Yeah. Well, welcome to my house.
Yes, thank you. So this is a new kind of experience for you with all of these colors on this board that I have in front of me, and talking into a mic and having a headset on. And that reminds me, I got to get a picture. This
gosh.
Okay, ready? Just smile. All right. That's perfect. This will be good for probably Uncle Mark. Or somebody to send to. So I sent you a few questions ahead of time for you to peruse over, but basically the purpose of this is to have a living record from the words of my own legacy, you, my grandmother. And as of this podcast, actually my last grandparent, as Grandpa Miller had passed away 2 days ago now. So you are my legacy. No pressure.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Tom. Tom.
We're also sorry to Uncle Tom.
Yeah. Who are you again?
I am your host, Tim Miller, and also your favorite grandson.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just going to be sort of a laid-back conversation. We're here in the warmth of your home. You've got a cat running around here named...
Oh, gosh.
Catman.
I call her Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.
That's not her name, but Frida. Frida's her name.
Frida's the cat's name running around, so we may be joined by Frida tonight.
It's obviously not my cat.
Yes, who's living with you?
One of my granddaughters.
Would you say your favorite granddaughter? Or, remember this is being recorded for everyone.
I can't say my favorite because I haven't had a chance to live with my other ones.
That's fair.
But I have to tell you, she is absolutely wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Getting along better than you thought. I remember talking before, and you were so fearful that she might just ruin your life. I'm just kidding.
Well, you better tell her you're kidding.
We're kidding. But that's good. So it's not like the Gilmore Girls or the Golden Girls.
No, not really.
Awesome. Well, she's living here. She's doing some school and coming out here to enjoy our company on the island and getting to live with you, which is exciting. Mm-hmm. And that's her cat. Mm-hmm. And you have 5 acres out here. You've got this beautiful little garden. We're just talking about the trees that are, some of them in bloom, or the crab apples, I guess.
Right.
I see all your chickadees out there in the tree freezing to death.
I know.
And just a blessing to be out here, literally through the field from my parents, your daughter. And growing up here, getting to go through the field to grandmother's house is where that story was based. So that's a blessing. And where did you come from?
Originally, or
From right before you got here.
oh, that's San Diego.
Okay.
It's a great place to be from.
It's a great place to be from. Yes. Yes, it's definitely changed a lot since you've been up here. When was the last time you were in San Diego?
It's been, 17 years.
Oh, wow. Like not even to visit. Like 17 years ago was your visit.
Well, no, I did go down to visit Brad.
Was that like 8 years ago or something, or 10 years?
Or 10, yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Wow.
But
So you noticed the changes, though, even then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even recognize a lot of it. They just kept building on that road. When I was there, 805 was 4 lanes, and when I went back, it was 6.
Oh, man.
And by now, it's 8 or 10.
Yeah, probably 20.
Yeah,
Spaceships.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to know where you want to get off, because you don't go from one to the other.
Yeah.
You whatever lane you start out in, you stay in.
You're just stuck there until...
You're stuck there. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad. We are certainly blessed to have you having escaped from there to come to the island up here with us all of these years. And we're certainly blessed to have you as our grandmother and all the shenanigans and good things, good and bad things. I remember crawling around in your attic space for years.
Right. My ninja warriors.
I don't know why that happened.
Don't ask me.
It's because you have chocolate over here all the time.
Yes, that's true.
And that was the one way to break into your house when all the doors were locked, was to somehow get into your crawl space, garage, and then attic, and then go up over the supporting beams into your bedroom upstairs. And for some reason in your bedroom, you have a crawl space access.
Yeah.
And so...
Don't ask me why.
Yeah, on the second story and on the side of the wall, not like a upstairs one. So, yeah, that was weird.
That's weird, is right.
All right, we're going to start off the episode tonight with a couple questions, some of which I've pre-gamed you for. And so the first one here is, what is a story or a part of you that really sticks out in your mind, something that's significant that you would love to share or that you like to share regularly? Maybe it's something you share all the time. Maybe it's something you just haven't shared but is really fond in your mind.
There are several things that happened when I was young, and I think one of the ones that sticks with me is at Christmas. And when we have Christmas here with with all your kids and all the other kids, there are just mountains of presents and everything. And I was thinking, probably last Christmas, that our Christmas was, we had a stocking. You always got an orange in the toe of the stocking.
A real orange or one of those chocolate oranges?
Oh, not a chocolate one, no. A real orange. And our stockings, I don't remember ever having any kind of a game or toy in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Fruit, just fruit.
I want to think that we used to get underwear and socks.
The practical goods.
Yeah, well, that's all we had money for. Mm-hmm. I did not know my parents well. I had no reason even to know that was not usual. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was usual for other kids too. Mm-hmm. Because we would get the Sears catalog. Yeah. And it was about 2 or 3 inches thick. And we'd go through it and we'd say, "Oh, Mom, I love that. Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be so nice, But it never showed up. I mean, and it wasn't that I really, really, really wanted it. It was just, that's really neat. That would be kind of fun to have. So, the thing is, the thing is, we were not rich, and I didn't know it. Mm-hmm. We were rich in family.
Yeah.
My mother was, she had 7 brothers and sisters, and she was the second oldest, but the first oldest was in Wyoming, I think. And so Mom was the one in town that everybody came to. All of the grandkids came to her to tell them the things that happened, the good things or the bad things, or what am I going to do, or that kind of thing. And I knew that, but I didn't realize how special my mom was. You know, she was good.
Yeah.
She was wonderful. We used to have good times. But I'm only now in my old age, I'm realizing what she meant to my cousins. You know, she really, one of her brothers, he used to pick up milk. He drove a truck around and got milk from all the farms and took it into Buffalo, I suppose. And he got hit by a train. And well, I kind of chuckle about it because when he was in the hospital, Mom said, well, Uncle Frank has got a plate in his head now. Wow. And so he may not remember you and all the little things she's trying to prepare us for. Yeah. And me, in my, I couldn't have been, maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, a plate? A dinner plate in his head?
Yeah.
And I'm it didn't make sense to me.
Right.
But after that, he was able to take care of himself, but his mind was not really around anymore. Mm-hmm. And one of his younger kids, his second son, came to live with us because his son, he was with him in the car, and he had a broken leg and all this stuff. And his, I don't know, how did I get into this? my uncle's wife, can't think of her name, I'll get it, was kind of strange. And so Dad kind of took over with Frank Jr. and said, he was a senior in high school, and he said, you're going to have to get a job and take care of your mom.
Yeah.
And he did. And Frank's always been special to me, but when I think of it, and he has said how special Dad was to him because he helped him get a job.
Yeah, and Frank Jr.
Yeah, and then Frank was working in the canning. We had canning factories. Oh. I used to work in the canning factory.
Wait, are you skipping a part of this, or were you 8 years old and working in a canning factory?
No, I was in high school when I was working in the canning factory. But Frank was kind of, I want to say in charge, but he ran things, but he wasn't the ultimate in charge. But he was cleaning something that would cut the beans up, and he was cleaning it up, and it got stuck.
Oh no!
And he says he didn't know why he did it, but he reached in and undid the part that was, and it cut off his hand, his last 2 fingers, I think.
This is Frank that had the dinner plate.
Yeah, no, this is his son.
Or his son also.
Yeah.
Man, that did.
So he lost half of his hand. Need to get in touch with this side
of the family and see what's going on over there.
Yeah, but, honestly, I don't think there's anyone left in that family. No, they're all gone. So
this was your uncle, Frank, then cousin Frank.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
And Dick, the one that was injured also.
Wow.
He's gone. But see, they're all older than me. Mm-hmm. So, well, and Betty. Never mind about Betty.
So to the question, the important memory that you wanted to share was the stocking with the orange.
Well, that was the stocking, yeah. It was kind of important. But when I think of it, this was really more important because...
Come on, grandmother, stick to the script.
Well, write it down for me. The thing is, like I said, I didn't realize how good, how wonderful my mom was until all of this, and my dad too.
Yeah.
And I did find out that my dad was half Indian, which he would not allow Mom to tell any of us.
Yeah, they were trying to cover it up for a while.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Because at that time, we had a reservation 10 miles from home, and the Indians were the drunks. Mm-hmm. I mean, the government was paying them. Why go work?
Sure. Yeah.
So Dad didn't want any part of that.
Yeah. So. Well, that brings me into the next question. Who are you? And
I'm not sure, Tim.
Where are you? So for the audience that's listening and doesn't get to see this fantastic layout and fantastic woman before you, she's has this gorgeous silver hair and dressed in a wonderfully red plaid shirt. And you're in plaid a lot. I know you like plaid. And she's has our clan colors is one of these colors, green and blue.
Oh gosh.
You've got a patch of it around here somewhere.
Yeah.
But you're in plaid a lot. And I don't know if that's why, or if it's just a warm color.
It's just warm.
Pretty. Yeah. And what is your name? Besides Gran or the Great Poopah?
Joyce, Eva. Riefel. Although I go by Joyce Riefel Boyd. Mm. Yeah. Is that my name? Yes. The Eva is EVVA. 2 V's. And it was my mother's name, Eva. Mm-hmm. And so it's not Eva. Mm-hmm. That's 1 V.
Yeah.
People have a hard time understanding that.
Who is the Native American besides Dad?
Oh. Well, his sister. Yeah. Mm-hmm. His sister. I had forgotten. Aunt Caroline.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that.
But also that you had on your side.
What was it? Lily? Mm-hmm. Lily. I can't remember.
Blackfoot?
No, I don't.
Seneca?
We were Seneca, or my father was Seneca. Mm-hmm. I can't, honestly, I've just drawn a blank on that. I know.
Oh, yeah. Eva was.
No, that's mother's mother.
Yeah. And what's their background? Ethnicity?
Oh, well.
Because you have the Scots.
Yeah,
obviously
that's where
the Scots are.
Yeah. They were, when I was young, we were told they were from England. Mm-hmm. But in going through some papers and things, I found out that they came down from, I think, from Scotland to Ireland to England. Mm. And I think they lived longer. I was going to say Ireland, but there's a castle in Scotland.
In Scotland, the Kilmarnock Boyd
Oh,
castle.
You know what? That's Boyd, though. That's my
Boyd's
husband.
Side, yeah.
Yeah, so...
We'll go back through the papers. So Graham is the family genealogist as well.
And I know so much about it.
Well, you don't have to because you have so many documents. You've got a library full of
I do have a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Which has been really helpful for us in identifying our own background and where we came from and all of that kind of stuff, which is cool. So, so your name, Joyce Eva Riffle Boyd, and where were you born?
Right in North Collins, New York.
Collins, New York.
Western New York.
And what year was that, and month and day?
Oh, gosh.
For the audience.
Okay, April 12th, 1935.
1935.
And I don't know why I have to stop and think every time. That's all anybody asks. They never ask my name. They say, where were you born? What's your birthday?
Yeah. Well, it's good that you know who you are. That's the most important part. And you just don't know when you are.
No, no, I think it's the opposite. I know when, I just forget who I am.
That's why Jess is here now.
Yeah.
So you've got, you were born in North Collins, New York, Western New York, 1935, a cold April 12th, 1935, and you grew up in Buffalo, is what it sounds like.
Grew up right in North Collins.
Oh, right in North Collins.
Never moved.
Oh, okay.
Until I went to college.
And then that was Buffalo?
That was, no, it was Cortland, down in the middle of the state.
Okay. What college did you go to?
Cortland State.
Oh.
Oh, that's another story.
So you went to college. We'll back up here. Who were your parents, their names?
Okay. Esther Jane Galloway, and Ansel Walden, I think. Yeah, Walden Riefel, German.
Boyd, and then the Boyd came when you got married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Galloway and Riefel, and then you were how many kids?
Just three of us, three daughters, and Dad wanted boys, and so the first one was named Patricia, who he called Pat. Everybody called Pat.
Convenient.
And the second one was Carol, and she stayed Carol. And me, I'm Joyce, but I was called Joe. With Joe.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It was very disturbing when I got to school and I found out the guy next in the attendance was Joseph.
Oh, no.
I can't think of his last name, but people called me Joe and they wrote Joe. Oh, no. And he said, is that mine or yours?
Oh. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. So.
Wow. So overall, would you say from your earliest years as a child, you've got that great memory of Christmas and getting an orange in your stocking and not necessarily realizing, like you were comparing the families today, we get all these presents all around the tree, not really realizing the difference there, but obviously the joy is still there because you just didn't know, which was exciting.
Yeah.
And any other early memories from your childhood that were particularly good?
Well, I remember going back to Christmas. The one Christmas that stands out is that I got a doll, a big doll, and I named it Baby Esther. I'm not real sure why.
After your mom.
After my mom, But and now your mom has Baby Esther. Oh. So anyway.
And what was that something in terms of like especially having two older sisters? Did you get along well, or was your family pretty strict? Coming from especially a lot of the Germanic or Scottish. I mean, how is that? And in the early part of the century, I mean, your 1930s, 1940s, World War II is just coming to a close by the time you're a child, and coming into your teenage years is barely even the post-war time. I mean, you were 10 years old when the war ended, 11, and then
I was 10 years old when President Roosevelt died.
Okay,
he died on my birthday. That's how I.
Of course, come on. And so yeah, I mean, just in terms of life at that time in general, getting along with siblings, getting along with in a family like that, how was that?
Well, it was kind of strange. I had 2 sisters, and yet I don't remember that we were close, terribly close. Well, my oldest was 6 years older than I, and and the next was 4 years older than I. But she was she had hip dysplasia, and so she was I want to say different, and I don't mean she wasn't weird or strange or she was normal, except that she couldn't walk nicely or run or do things like that. And so it seems like I ended up, I don't want to say taking care of her, but making sure she walked home with me, and she probably was told to walk home to take care of me, but my feeling was that I was kind of taking care of her.
This was like middle school, young child, or okay,
all the way through, actually, all the way through school.
And when did what happened with her and that?
She lived her own life just fine. She got married at 75. Finally,
she got married at 75?
She was 75.
She wasn't married that whole time.
No.
Wow.
And she kept praying for a husband.
Wow.
But wasn't time yet. So, but she had a good 4 or 5 years with him.
Okay.
And I have to remember when she told me they were engaged, I went back. I would go back quite often every summer for a month or so.
Yeah.
And
back from Washington San Diego.
Well, from San Diego first.
To North Collins. Yeah.
But and when I went back, I told my kids, your mom and Mark and Brad, Tom, that Aunt Carol was engaged, and their immediate reaction was, "You make sure he's good enough for her." And I'm going, okay.
No pressure.
And how do you do that? Yeah. So we were I went back and we went out to dinner at their favorite place, and Carol was off getting the silverware because it was that kind of place, and Don was sitting at the table with me, and I said, "Well, Don, I'm really happy about this, but I need you to know that her 4 kids, her niece and nephews, have said that if you're not good enough for her, that if you're not good to her, they're going to come back and straighten that out." And so he said, he pounded his fist on the table and he said, "You tell them that I never once struck my wife," because he was a widower. And I thought, well, sounds good to me.
That's the standard we use, I guess.
Yeah. So, it was good. He was different, but they got along fine.
And she lost her legs?
No, she just developed cancer.
Yeah.
And it kept coming back in a different place until finally she said she had to go through chemo again. And I said, "Carol, you only have to go through chemo if you say you're going through chemo." And she said, "I don't want to."
Yeah. Well, how old was she at that time? That was...
she was...
Chemo's difficult period.
Yeah, I think that's when... I think maybe she got married at 70. Okay. And I think it was 75 when she stopped the chemo.
Wow.
And I told her, the doctors can say you should, but they can't make you do it. And her husband agreed with me. I mean, he just, when I turned around, he was shaking his head, yes. So. And
then, so as far as your childhood and growing up with them too, you don't remember necessarily it being difficult with two other sisters, or
Yeah. Well, really not. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, my older one
6 years.
was kind of off doing
Her own
other
stuff,
things. So
and then being the youngest in a home with mom and dad was good. Was it strict?
I thought it was good.
It,
well, my dad was strict, yes, but he wasn't nasty strict. We knew the rules,
yeah,
and we didn't question the rules.
yeah.
We had to eat stewed tomatoes every night.
Every night, stewed tomatoes.
Well, honey, if that's what you grow and that's what you can and that's what all you've got,
Stewed
that's
tomatoes
what
it
you eat.
is. Wow.
Well, we would have beans or corn
Yeah.
when Mom canned it, but Dad loves stewed tomatoes, so we
Wow.
had stewed tomatoes a lot.
Wow. Wow. Well, you guys grew a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he had a garden.
I'd probably, a lot of people did.
Yeah,
back then.
well, they
Victory
had
Gardens
to.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Our neighbors had a half of their yard that they didn't use, and so Dad, I guess I'm sure he probably paid them for it, and he would grow corn and tomatoes and peas and beans,
Wow.
and when I went out to the garden with him, he would always pick a tomato and eat it.
You're like, Dad, we're having this tonight.
Yeah. And he'd say, you want a tomato? And I do like fresh tomatoes,
Yeah.
raw tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, yeah. So I'd have one too. And it made him happy because he thought I liked them. And I did. Like I said, I love raw.
No offense, Dad, if you're listening.
I love fresh tomatoes, but stewed tomatoes just get a little bit hard to eat sometimes.
I mean, you didn't have like bread that you would
Oh, yeah, you
Okay.
could. Yeah, well, yeah.
just straight stewed tomatoes. How do you just not have the runs all the time in your family?
You know what? I never thought about that, but it didn't seem to bother us. I don't know.
Different times.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just.
Well, this was World War II, so and
is.
you're not even 10, and the war's going on. So
Well, I was 10
when it ended,
when it ended. Yeah.
and your dad didn't go to war.
No, but whenever he had a mark on his, I remember he used to get scratches on his ankles and things, probably from working in the garden.
Oh.
And I'd say, "What did you do?" And he'd say, "Oh, that's from the war." And I didn't question him.
Yeah, Dad, how did he escape the war?
Well,
What did he do?
he was a jewel tea delivery man,
Oh,
and
so a target for bank robbers.
not at that time.
Okay.
I mean, he never was threatened, so
Yeah.
I guess. But he worked 2 jobs during the war.
Okay.
He did that, and he worked at the steel mill in Lackawanna.
That may have been how they. I remember reading a lot of folks during that time. If they had a job like that was crucial to the war effort, they could put in. I don't know what there was a technical term, but a waiver basically that would allow them to stay there.
I think he was. I just
Older.
figured he was too old.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and he wasn't in World War I then either. He was like
No.
right in that perfect time where he was
Yeah.
born too late for World War I, too old now for World War II.
Yeah, I think because I never questioned. Well, I wouldn't because our high school boys were going to war in World War II.
Yeah,
We had 3 or 4 that left high school
yeah,
and I'm going, but it didn't mean anything to me. I mean, the war was way over there.
right, yeah.
I mean, it didn't really affect me except for the little coupons you had to use to buy food and
Oh yeah,
things. So
they would dish those out in your mail, and you would just go into the store to
no,
use them, or you'd go pick them up at the store.
I think Mom must have gotten them in the mail. I
Rations,
honestly
basically.
don't know. Ration, yeah.
Yeah.
I have some someplace.
Oh really? Do you think they're still good?
They might be. Maybe I should
Do you
check
think
it out.
interest has applied to your food rations thing?
I don't know.
A lifetime supply of bread? Man, the things you think about now, like, looking back, that's normal for you because you're growing up in this. But then looking back, how old are you now?
Too old. 87?
87.
Yeah. Looking
back and knowing what you do now, just, driving down the street to get your groceries and not thinking twice about it. I mean, this was back before, was everything black and white back then, or was it just your school that was, your lifestyle was black and white before color came into your world at all?
No, I don't think.
You didn't have any color in your life. I've seen the reruns of what 1935 looked like. Everything's in black and white.
Yeah,
the cars, the people, the houses.
Everything. Oh, and a red car. You would never have a red car.
No, it was black and white. It was dark.
Yeah.
Dark gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was trying to remember. I think that television came in. I know when I got to college because we could go down. Seven of us lived upstairs in a house.
Wow.
And we could go down and watch certain programs if we wanted to.
Wow.
So
go downstairs to
downstairs to where the owners were. And if their two kids were watching something we wanted to watch, we could watch it. Otherwise, we didn't watch it.
Wow.
But
that's a cool experience.
Well, I mean, gosh, I was pretty old then.
Well, TV hadn't come out yet for a while.
It was
a lot of radio stuff. You guys probably had one of those really sweet radios in the.
We used to listen to the radio at home.
Yeah.
I mean,
Roosevelt did his fireside chats?
Yeah, I didn't listen to those. My parents did, but Charlie Brown? No, that's a new one.
Charlie Chaplin was TV.
Charlie Chaplin was on. But there was another kid. Charlie, I thought. I don't know.
On the radio?
On the radio. And we used to always listen to that. And then they had mysteries on. And gosh, I can't even remember the names of those either.
So you graduate high school, you head off to college. Was that something typical in the 1940s, late 40s, that was expected?
That was 50.
College already?
52, I graduated from high school. Yeah. We had to go I had to go into Buffalo to take what we have the SAT tests now. Well, I don't think they were called SAT tests, but they were something else.
Yeah.
And Dad took me in to do that, and he said, well, what are you thinking you want to do? Do you want to go to college? And I said, well, I'm thinking I want to be a nurse. And he said, he pulled off the side of the road, and he looked at me and he said, you will not empty other people's bedpans.
Wow.
You will not be a nurse. And I go,
wow.
Okay. He said, you'll be a teacher. Your mother's a teacher. Your sister's a teacher. You'll be a teacher.
Wow.
And he got back on the road, and we drove off and took the test.
And
I passed the test, and I was a teacher. And actually, after I started teaching, I thought, I think I'm glad I'm not a nurse.
I guess back then, especially coming from post-World War II, a lot of the nursing duties probably fell to that kind of stuff. Lower cleaning bedpans and
well, that's what I guess what they did.
Yeah, the orderlies essentially. Yeah. Wow. Your mom was a teacher?
Yeah.
What did she teach?
The Indians.
Okay. Well, it's come full circle being Indian.
Yeah.
And she went back to teach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and after she told us that Dad was an Indian, we figured that that's how she met him. was because she would work on the reservation.
And teach
teaching
high
Indians.
school or middle school or whatever?
I think every
all the grade, like little schoolhouse.
Little schoolhouse. That's what it was.
Okay.
So
Wow. And then what did your sister teach?
phys ed.
Oh,
She was the boy,
Pat.
Pat. And
Wow. Where did she? Was that a high school or middle school or?
She taught. Well, she taught at our high school while I was still there.
Okay.
Very disturbing.
She taught you PE while you were.
Yeah. She tried to. She couldn't make me do
That's
the
hilarious.
things I wanted.
Yes.
But
Well, it came full circle when she came back here just a year ago. When she was just here recently.
yeah, 2 years I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. You make her do. You made her do stuff.
I tried to.
Tried to.
But
So then you graduated, and I'm sorry, where did you go to college, and how long?
I went to college at Cortland State for 4 years, and never mind that.
We are recorded.
Yes.
And she did Pat go to college there also?
Yeah.
Was that sort of a family college?
Oh, well, my dad said you'll go where Pat went.
Okay.
So I just...
He paid for it?
Oh, he paid for it, yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Or you
not
got
su-
scholarships probably at school?
No.
No scholarships?
Are you kidding? Did they have scholarships then?
Well, I guess, yeah, college was what, $1,000, which is a lot of money in that time, but
Yeah, it was a lot of money in that
not
time.
compared to the
No. Yeah.
percentage increase of scammers today
Yeah.
at college. Yeah.
But, I thought of something, but it's gone. It's gone. It'll come back. Here.
So you graduated and went right into teaching. What did you teach?
Well, before I graduated in 56, but in 55 I met my husband to be.
The next question.
Yeah.
Good segue.
and he was going to go in the military. He wanted to fly. He loved to fly. He didn't care where he was going to fly or what he was going to fly. He just wanted to fly. And he found out that the Navy, if you had 2 years of college, the Navy would train you as a pilot. And so he did that. He went to 2 years of college down close to where I was, and then he went in the Navy. And so I went home and I was telling my dad about this, not saying anything about our relationship, but
He didn't know, your dad was not aware that you guys were together.
not
What
really.
do they
Not
call
really.
it going steady
Yeah.
at the time?
Well,
Were you going steady?
yeah, yeah,
To try to relate to you in your vernacular.
yeah. Well, anyway, Dad was not happy about that because again, my sister went to college, came home, taught in our high school, married the guy across the road, and so I would do the same.
Of course, yeah. You're going to stay there in
Yeah.
North Collins, marry the other guy on the other side of the road.
How did you know that?
I'm just picking up on what your father's...
Okay. And
That's what I say about my daughter also.
okay.
Yeah.
so he was not pleased when I told him that Dick was going in the Navy. And he said, well, where are you going to be while he's in the Navy? Thinking he was going to spend a couple of years and get out or something like that.
Sure.
And I said, I would be with him. And he said, where? And I said, I think in San Diego. And he said, San Diego. He was not happy, except that they came up for, I think it was maybe Thanksgiving dinner or something, Dick and his mom and dad. And
they're from North Collins also? Or
no, they're from down in Walton, which is closer to the city than we were.
City folk, right. So they came for dinner.
So it was a small town. But anyway, they came up, and my dad had a joke that he would pull on people when they came in for dinner or for anything. And if they asked for the butter, would you pass me the butter? He would pass it to them and push it so that their thumb would end up in the butter.
Oh, that's a joke or that's a prank?
Well, I'm not real sure, but and my dad was not really a joker.
Yeah.
But that was his one thing. And we were sitting there having to, and my Dick's mother's name was Olive. And Dad said to Olive, pass the butter, will you please? And so she did. And when he reached for it, she pushed his thumb in it. And
she did that
she did
after
that,
he had just done it? Or she
no,
not even knowing?
He had not done it.
Oh, no.
And so...
That's my joke, Olive.
Well, that's exactly kind of the way Dad looked.
Yeah.
And I didn't think much about it. I mean, I thought it was really funny. And then later I said to Mom, how come she did that? And Mom said, well, I warned her. Oh. So she knew. And,
nice.
And she was one who would pull a joke if she could. Anyway, so.
Olive was just that kind of person. So it sort of softened the...
It really did.
His first time meeting.
This is their first time meeting. And the thing is, Dad said something about hunting. And Dick's eyes lit up and he said, oh, I got the best deer last year. And he started to talk about his deer. And I could just see my dad say, okay, this guy might be okay. You know?
Yeah.
So, and it was okay, except that Dad really, he really objected to me going to San Diego.
Sure. Well, I mean, think about, was that the 50s? And you're literally corner to corner of the United States.
Yeah. And the
pre any sort of phones or social media or, long distance. I mean, it's a solitary confinement deal is what it is for him.
Exactly. And just before that, probably maybe a month before, there was a big airplane crash, which is the first one. I think it was the first one there ever was where a loaded airplane,
a commercial airplane with passengers
crashed.
Wow.
Down in New Mexico, I think.
Wow.
And Dad said, how are you getting to San Diego?
Yeah.
And I said, I think I'm going on a plane. He said, you better take the train. And I said, Dad, then I've got all these different people that I'm going to be meeting and everything. I think I better go by plane. And I did. I went by plane, but I have to admit I was very nervous.
Sure, yeah. I mean, air commercial travel by air was new anyway. Let alone the one that had just crashed.
Yeah.
And what does that flight look like from New York to San Diego? How many layovers? And I mean,
I don't think there was. I think it was a direct flight.
Wow.
Because
certainly a different experience.
It was. Yeah.
They had all the everything.
Yeah, everything.
All the pictures looks like it's first class living. Even the economy seats were bigger and people were nicer.
And my cousins kept saying, "Oh, you're going to San Diego. I suppose you're going to lay out in the sun and get a tan and all this." That was
all these judgmental northeastern folk.
And I said,
"You're going to hippy dippy California."
But I have to admit, I enjoyed California then.
Yeah.
It was different.
Sure.
I don't want to be back there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous place. Yeah. I mean, landscape-wise and all of that is just gorgeous for sure. So, so you met Dick at college because he was doing his 2 years.
Yeah, but he was a few miles away. But
okay.
Well, actually, one of my roommates said, Joyce, there's this really nice guy that I went through high school with, and we were very good friends all through 4 years of high school. And he's coming up here, and I'd like for you to go with us on a date. Mm. And the funny thing is, the name she went by was Bunny. Mm. And she had a new boyfriend.
That's very...
And his name... boy, it's gone. It'll come back.
It was Peter, like Peter Rabbit.
No, it was... Oh, it's right there. Okay, anyway.
Something hilarious.
Anyway, I got the idea after 2 dates with Dick. She and her new boyfriend would go too. Mm. And I thought, she wants him back again. Oh. And I'm not going to let her have him.
The wily schemes of college girls.
Well, I just didn't like her attitude. I mean, it was, and she was using me.
Sure. Yeah.
And I thought, Piggy, that's his name, Piggy.
Well, that's a fun name.
Bunny and Piggy. Can you?
This is what happens in the 1950s?
Yes.
This is how children are named?
Well, they were her nicknames, but they never used their real names.
Yeah. To this day, you don't know who they are.
Well, they're both gone. But I don't know. Her name was Phyllis, but I have no idea what his name was. Piggy. Oh, Piggy.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it was funny, when you stop to think of it, that, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you were dating Richard.
Yeah, Dick, yes.
And what's his name?
Richard.
Richard Mallory.
Boyd. Oh, yes.
Boyd?
Yeah.
Of the great Boyd clan.
Yeah.
And so he was there finishing school. You guys started going steady.
Yeah.
And then you followed him when he got orders. So he got picked up by the Navy then to start this piloting program.
Oh, and he thought he was in heaven.
Oh, of course. Yeah, this is pre-Top Gun. The boys in the sky had just come back from the war. He grew up around that era. I mean, and back then, too, it's a wild west of piloting.
He just
kind of do whatever he wants.
Truly loved it.
Yeah.
Truly loved it.
And so he's training there and then gets orders to San Diego. And he didn't go through, now it's called OCS, but Rhode Island, he didn't go through that first. That was post.
No. Okay. Just San Diego.
Just San Diego to become, to basically learn his fork and knife school as an officer. And and then you followed him while you were dating. You weren't married.
Right.
Wow. Would you say that you started the hippie generation of the 60s and 70s?
No.
From your sort of wild lifestyle?
Well, he said, being new to the Navy, he said, I don't know when I'd be able to get back here.
Sure.
To get married.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll just come out there.
You're the youngest child, of course. Yeah, you get away with whatever you want.
See, that's what Pat felt this whole whole life.
I feel that with Stephen. Yeah. I understand. I can relate.
So anyway, we got married at in Coolidge, Arizona, at Dick's father's cousin, I think it was, and.
Because Dick's whole family is still New York.
Yeah, in New York.
But his cousin and their side of the family were all Arizona.
Yeah.
Wow. So you drove out from San Diego?
And his brother was stationed in the Army in, what's up from San Diego? Way up.
In the Army?
Yeah.
Not the Marine base.
No, in the Army. Anyway, he was stationed there, so he came down to San Diego and drove out to, where did I say? Coolidge, Arizona, with us. It was hot.
What month was this?
June.
You got married
July?
in
July.
July was your wedding? In Arizona in July. Whose decision was this? Or was this the Navy's because he was like in between orders or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Navy's because that was the only time he could get off.
Wow. And did your folks get to come out? I mean,
No.
did you have anybody out there for it?
No, nobody was out there, but their church had a wedding. They had a little reception for us, and we got a couple presents, 2 or 3 things. I can't remember what.
It was literally just you and his cousin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he and afterwards, I called home to tell him that I'd gotten married.
Did you at least call first and let them know you were getting married?
Oh yeah, they knew I was going. But I called and I said I have to call collect. You have to call. You have to tell the operator.
Right.
I have to call collect. And she said, "Well, who's calling?" And I said, "Joyce Riefel." And Dick said, "Hey,
Oh no,
it's
Joyce Boyd.
It's Joyce Boyd." I go, "Oh yeah. Oh, operator, it's Joyce Boyd."
That's awesome.
But it's weird. But we had a nice wedding. The people, we were going to get married on Saturday, is what we thought. Mm-hmm. And when we got there, his cousin said, "Another wedding has been planned for that day." So, but you can get married on Sunday after church. So it was
after the church service.
Yeah.
Put up some wedding decorations.
Yeah.
And just get married.
Oh no, there were no decorations.
No. What was it like? Just a quick ceremony by the pastor, or was there any?
It was really a regular sermon and everything.
Define regular for us, because nowadays our weddings consist of unity candles and sand that people
that's
pour
right.
together.
There were
and
no candles.
Handprints with wax casters. And
There were just who walked me down the aisle? I think that his cousin's daughter was my best.
She just happened to, "Hey, are you available for a booking to be my bridesmaid?"
and I think she walked me down.
Wow.
Yeah, or maybe Lyle did. Maybe her. I bet he did.
Do you have photos?
Huh?
Do you have photos of your wedding? Did you have a photographer or someone out there with?
No, but I have a couple of pictures.
Of the wedding, or of just like post-wedding while you're standing
Post-wedding.
there?
Post-wedding.
In your dress and his suit?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, well, we stood out on the deck for 2 minutes, and they took some pictures, and we went back in the air conditioner.
And your hair fizzed up, and everybody melted.
Oh, that was gone to begin with. It didn't do anything.
Oh, wow. You think with nobody there, you think you would stay in San Diego? I mean, it's not like you went out there specifically for family or friends, and your church was in San Diego. And
well, we didn't have a church in San Diego yet.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't there only maybe a week.
Oh, really? Okay, so you guys flew out from
I flew out, and
then got
Dick
married
was already
about
there.
A week later.
And then about a week later, we just, excuse me. About a week later, we drove over. It was so hot. And Bruce was with us, his brother. And I said, Bruce said, he's sitting in the back. He said, "Well, roll the window down just a little bit, see if that helps." So I did.
Not like the air conditioning.
And it was like, whoa. We were immediately cooked. And then the air conditioning went out.
Yeah.
These old cars.
Well, new cars.
Well, it was a new car. It was a new car. Yes.
New car, old car.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Did he ask your father permission, or did he ask his blessing, or engage you to be married?
He did
prior to leaving.
He did say he wanted to marry me
prior to leaving, not over the phone.
Yeah, prior. Okay. Yeah, and asked his permission, and Dad gave it.
Yeah,
but he wasn't happy about it because he didn't want me to go to San Diego.
Sure. Well, I mean, I can imagine as a father myself missing my daughter's wedding. Like, even just in today's age where I can just jump on a plane, I can't imagine being all the way across the world with no contact and my daughter getting married to someone that I hardly know.
Yeah,
and that's got to be difficult.
It was not easy, but I was so foolish. I just did
Not
it.
Foolish. In
I
love
just did it.
And trusting. Well, you were a believer at this time.
I knew God, and I was a believer, but I was not believing.
A Christ follower.
I was not following.
Yeah.
I was, when I was in one of the younger classes, we used to go to a Bible group. I can't think of what it was called. But anyway, and I know that I accepted Christ there.
In
North Collins.
North Collins, okay.
Well, I was still in probably 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
Something. And, but it really, it didn't mean anything to me. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that there was anything beyond that. I accepted Christ.
That's what everybody did. It's cultural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But...
And your parents did too?
I don't know.
Okay.
My mom, I'm pretty sure, was a Christian. But she didn't go to church, and Dad would not go to church because he was an Indian. Mm. And he did walk my sister down the aisle when she got married, my first sister, my oldest sister. Mm-hmm. But I remember him saying, well, you can't get married in the church because if I go in the church, it'll fall down. And I think it was just a smart remark from him. Yeah. But I think he really felt that he would not be welcome.
He had enough of the Indian blood in him to realize that Christianity was for white people, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Not for our kind or whatever.
Well, and most of our town was Catholic, was Italian, so it was Catholic. Mm.
So what was your mom? Not Catholic? She was Protestant?
No, she was Protestant,
okay.
But she never went to church with us or anything. So
where did you go to church? Was it what kind of church was it, or denomination?
Congregational church.
Okay.
First Congregational Church.
Of North Collins.
In New York.
in New York?
in North Collins.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the only...
Basically a non-denominational type church, essentially.
Well, no, it was very congregational. I mean, it was very... It had its own...
Like liturgy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Own rules and everything.
Yeah.
But it was the
almost
only...
Lutheran, kind of.
There was... Everybody was Catholic. So there was 2 Catholic churches.
They were all Italian and Catholic.
Yeah, well, you know. One of my best friends was Catholic, and she'd say, "Oh, I've got to go to
catechism or something,
no,
or confession."
Confession, and I said, "What are you going to confess?" And she said, "Oh, I don't know. I'll think of something."
Oh my goodness!
So when I look back on it, I think
Catholic at its best.
Okay, yeah, so.
That's hard. So fast forward to San Diego. You're not at a church, so that's why you're in Arizona, essentially getting married at that church because family, his kind of family. So then you come back that day, or do you go to a honeymoon?
Oh no, we went on a honeymoon, and they went with us
in Coolidge, Arizona. No, where did you go?
In Coolidge, Arizona.
Was it really?
We went and saw all the Indian.
Oh,
the buildings that the Indians.
Yeah.
Hot.
Wait, who went with you? Not just
Dick. Everybody.
Oh, this was a group honeymoon.
I guess so.
Is this normal in the 1950s?
It was normal when I don't know. I have never done it before.
That's true. This was your first honeymoon.
Yeah. No, well, Lyle would go with us to show us where they were.
Okay.
And his daughter, why can't I remember her name? She would go too. So all of our pictures
are a group honeymoon session.
It's a group honeymoon.
Nice.
So,
cool.
and they had a little house out in back, and we just stayed in that because there was air conditioning.
Oh yeah, that's nice. So then you drive back to San Diego. You're married. You're a young married couple. He is flying for the Navy, fully trained at this point, and he's flying the S-2.
Yeah.
And he's getting ready for a deployment.
I can't remember.
Or you're teaching. You're teaching school at that point.
Somehow, when I went there, I got an apartment right in San Diego. But then we moved to a house down in Chula Vista, and I got a teaching job. Yeah, I think he did leave a couple of months maybe after I was married. Mm-hmm. And we were married. And I got a teaching job. And it was kind of almost right on the border. Mm. And I had a first grade. And half of my class was Mexican. Mm. I did
Thankfully, you spoke fluent Spanish.
I did not. I didn't
From
even.
New York.
I didn't even know what C meant. Now I know what C means. But I felt so bad for those little kids because I try to talk to them and I know that they learned some English from me, but then they go home and they speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So it's all gone.
Sure.
So I remember praying for those little kids, thinking, I didn't help them, Lord. I didn't help them.
Well, at the very least, you helped them learn English, which is seriously a huge deal, right? And at that time, nowadays it is too, but especially when it's not like they had other options to learn English at the time, apps.
It was just that
today,
I don't know that they learned enough to go into another grade.
Mm. And you taught first grade that whole time? Yeah. How many years did you teach?
Well, I only taught until May because I was expecting them and I was showing, and teachers could not teach.
Expecting is an old-fashioned word for pregnant.
Sorry.
For all of my listeners.
Sorry. But
and you were showing, and what did you say? You can't. Teachers can't.
I could not teach. They wouldn't let. They asked me when. Well, I went in and told them I was pregnant, and they said, oh, "Well, okay, let's figure out here." Well, it went up to, okay, you can teach probably the first week in May, but you can't teach any longer. And I'm going, June is just around the corner. Yeah. And you can't teach when you're showing.
When you're showing. God forbid.
Yeah. Well, I
guess they're first graders. They're going to ask questions, and sex ed wasn't something you talked about in first grade.
I guess not. I wouldn't have known what to say anyway. I certainly wasn't going to tell them what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was with Mark, Uncle Mark, my Uncle Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your firstborn.
Yes.
And that was your...
In 59.
In 59 in June?
No, 50...
Uncle Mark, when were you born?
57, because your mother was born in 59. Mm-hmm. 50, oh, for Pete's sake. I graduated at 56. So I got pregnant in 57 with Mark. Yeah.
So you had how many kids?
4.
4 kids.
In 5 years.
Can you
well,
can you name them all for me? I mean, that's part of your Catholic background. Not you being Catholic, but being surrounded by Catholics.
Oh, okay.
All 4 of them right after John. Just
there's Richard Mark and Beverly Jean.
Wait. Pause the show. Richard Mark?
Yes, sir.
His first name is Richard?
Yes, sir.
I thought his middle name was Richard this whole time. My Uncle Mark, who I've been calling Uncle Mark my whole life, goes by
Mark,
but his real name
is Richard Mark.
This whole time.
Well,
oh my goodness.
Because
I can't believe this.
Because
all the things I learned. Wow. What happened?
Okay, well,
I have a cousin who's my age. His son.
I'm trying to think
who's Richard. He doesn't go by Mark. What's his middle name? Richard, what's your middle name?
Richard. Oh, your cousin?
My cousin, yeah.
Richard Mallory.
Yeah, Mallory. After father, Papa.
After his grandfather.
Why would he go by Mark?
Because I'm an idiot.
Is that your final answer?
This
was your doing.
Mallory was the name was my mother-in-law's maiden name. And she knew if I had a boy, he would be named Richard Mallory Boyd. And I said, no.
No, mother-in-law. I don't think so.
He's going to be married. He's going to be named Richard Mark Boyd.
Oh. The drama unfolds.
It was a stinky thing for me to do, but I just didn't want to give her that satisfaction. And that's very, very sad.
Pre-sanctification in Christ at the time. And she's in New York, right?
She was.
Yeah.
She's gone now.
Right. But was Richard her only son?
No, Bruce was his brother.
Okay, so she had other chances. It's not like she was holding out for you. Was she just kind of a controlling person? This is Olive we're talking about.
Yeah. She was very controlling, and I was being nasty. I should have named him Richard Mallory Boyd.
You heard it here first, folks. Uncle Mark should be Richard Mallory Boyd. So Uncle Mark, fast forward this conversation real quick. He did you right by naming his son, his only son, Richard Mallory Boyd.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
is that why he's your favorite?
No, he's my oldest. That's why he's my favorite.
All right. So it's some redemption in that story, which is cool.
I guess.
Wow, I didn't know he was okay. So he goes by Mark. Why does he go by Mark though instead of Richard?
Well, because his dad was Dick, and he didn't want to end up being
Dick 2.
Dick 2 or Dick the second
Jr.
or Dick whatever.
Okay. So. That's awesome. The things you learn on podcast episodes with your grandmother. Okay, so that's interesting because Olive was the one who pushed the butter into your dad, and she came off sounding like just a fun, sort of cheery, flirtatious kind of person, but she's also controlling.
Well, she's yes, she's with other people. She's fine. She was fine, but she was very, very, very nasty to her husband. He drank.
Your father-in-law.
My father-in-law. Yeah. He drank because she was nasty, ugly to him.
Wow.
And he was smaller than she. I mean, he was slight. He was not heavy. And she used to just beat him up sometimes.
Wow. So. Which is interesting because the Boyd side, they're all tall.
Yeah.
Larger people, not large as in overweight, but just they could be linebackers, some of them. I mean, Uncle Mark is taller than all of us.
Yeah.
So. Well,
and Grandma Olive used to say, well, they're all tall because I thought she said her brother was 7 feet tall.
Oh,
but I was in looking at my pictures here, I believe it was her father that was 7 feet.
Wow. The whole Mallory side of the family. Yeah. Wow.
So.
Man. Okay. So you had Richard. You had Richard.
Yes.
Richard, and then you had
Beverly,
who is my mom.
Yes.
Of course.
And
the best mom.
Dick named her. I did not like that name particularly.
Wow.
Because there was a young girl in my high school that I just didn't really
It was also Beverly.
Yeah.
And then where did Jean come from? That's her middle name.
Well, that was because that was Carol's middle name.
Okay.
And I just wanted to
honor your sister.
Honor
Carol, not Pat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, what? I'm sorry. Pat's middle name was Alice, which was one of Mother's sisters. Okay. So I figured.
We'll honor Carol. Yeah. And then who'd you have?
Bradley, Alan, Boyd, And don't ask me where I got that name. I'm not real sure.
Yeah.
Just happened.
Okay. And then
Thomas John Boyd.
Okay.
And I named him because the doctor that delivered him, he and his wife and we became very good friends. And he was Thomas. No, his name was John Thomas something. And so I turned it around and named him Thomas and John after my grandfather. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Sure, yeah. So, and did you know Uncle Tommy would be your last one, or did you plan on having more? Or why do you say it like that? Well, after Tommy.
after when
Uncle Tommy,
hang in there, Tom. Well, it happened after we had Tom. Dick went into the squadron, and one of the guys said, "You got another boy?" And Dick said, "Well, yeah, that's what we got." And he said, and the first guy said, "You do know how this happens, don't you?"
Oh, no. The radar.
And Dick said, "No. How does it happen?" So the guy proceeded to tell him, and Dick said, "Oh, can we do anything about that?" And he did something about it. So
oh, no.
So
that's how he got fixed.
But that was enough. That four was really enough anyway.
Yeah.
I was ready to.
All four were born in Chula Vista?
No, two, Mark and Beverly, were born.
Richard.
Oh, yeah, okay. We're born in Chula, in wherever your mom and dad were. Where were they?
Well, Mom wasn't born yet.
No. When they came when they came back from their accident.
Oh, Balboa Naval Hospital.
That's it.
In San Diego.
They were both born there.
So Richard and Beverly were born in Balboa.
And Mark
There's no Mark. Let's just get over this now. I've learned some things tonight.
Who was it? Oh, Brad and Tom were born in Rhode Island.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, and I don't know what hospital they were born. I don't even.
Well, so you finished teaching and you never went back to it after?
Not then.
Okay. And so then from there you went to Rhode Island.
Yeah, we went to Rhode Island. And then I did start
and that's
substituting.
Where Janie's family, Aunt Janie, and Uncle Richard's family met.
Yes.
Or I guess followed each other to Rhode Island. That's their part of the story. But, But my grandfather, Dick, was there in Rhode Island. That's where Uncle Brad and Uncle Tom were born. And then after that, you came back to San Diego.
Well, we were 3 tours in Rhode Island, and then we went to Monterey for Dick to finish his college.
Go to the Naval postgraduate school.
Yeah, the postgraduate school.
Okay.
And then we went back to Virginia for just a little short time. It wasn't even a year.
What part of Virginia? Was he flying? Like Oceana?
No, he wasn't. He was there for such a short time. He was flying.
So like not Oceana or Norfolk or Virginia Beach or...
Virginia Beach, that's where we were.
Okay.
But that's when they were having hurricanes.
They're still having
I
hurricanes.
know. But
back in the day when they used to have hurricanes there, before we put up that sci-fi wall that blocks the hurricanes, which...
When a hurricane comes, they have to protect the airplanes.
Sure.
So they have to fly them someplace else.
They get them out of there. Leave the families behind.
Daddy leaves the family in this little house that I was afraid was going to blow away. I wasn't real sure.
How old were your kids? How old was Richard and Beverly?
Well, they were all born, so Tom was probably 6 or 7.
Okay, so they weren't too little.
No, they weren't. They weren't babies.
Yeah. They were all there to know that the house was going to blow
Yeah,
away.
yeah. Mom, it's blowing. It's blowing.
Now, did they go to different schools when you moved to Rhode Island and then to Virginia and Monterey? I mean, you plug them in and out of different
different schools,
elementaries and middle schools. And okay, high school. So then you came back to San Diego permanently.
Yeah.
And that's where they all went to high school.
Yes.
Okay.
And junior high.
Oh, okay.
Because they...
well, Richard would have gone to junior high in Virginia if Tommy was 6.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think
if
so. Maybe 1 year.
If my public school math is...
yeah. You know...
And my homeschool math. Shout out to Mom.
We just went through all this. We didn't bother to
write it down.
It.
Right.
Yeah.
So he retired. My grandpa, your husband, retired from the Navy in San Diego.
In San Diego.
And what year was that? Do you remember?
Boy.
I mean, at least 20 years.
Oh, he had 28 years.
Okay.
In the Navy, and then he retired.
What did he retire as? Rank?
Commander.
05.
Yeah. And then he sold cars for a little while.
Wow, right from Commander Boyd to car salesman.
Well, he didn't really enjoy it, but it was something to do.
Yeah, support the family.
And then Arch McKinley flew for the firefighters in California. Mm-hmm. And he said to Dick, "You want to fly?"
Yeah,
and Dick said,
"I can get you off the ground."
Yeah,
Eyes
Dick
light up.
said,
"Get me out of here."
Will give me a plane.
Yeah.
So he started the firefighting.
Okay.
And
were you teaching? You taught again in San Diego.
Yeah, I was teaching at the Christian school down in El Cajon. Full time.
First grade.
Oh no, I've been there, done that. 7th and 8th grade.
Okay, so you were teaching middle school while your kids were going to school.
Yeah.
At the Christian school also. Mm-hmm. So were they any of them in your class?
No, I didn't arrange that.
Oh. So you were teaching middle school at the Christian school. What was the Christian school name?
I don't know.
And they went there.
Well, they were all in the high school by the time I was, because the junior high split off from the church and went to a different church.
Okay.
So, but I can't remember the name of the church.
What high school did they go to?
Christian High.
Oh, okay. And then your husband is flying at this time, and the kids are all sort of graduating high school and heading off to do their thing, part of their story.
Yeah.
So looking back, prior to him retiring from the Navy and prior to you guys got these kids and, moving around the country and doing different things, what was one of your most treasured memories about the marriage specifically, about being married? One of your, looking back on that.
Well, he was gone a lot. He really, he was gone a lot. He'd be gone 6 months at sea. And
over 28 years of marriage, yeah.
Yeah,
in
but
the Navy.
The thing is, how do I want to say this? Let's see. I always liked the fact when he came home because it finished our family. Our family had a hole in it when he was gone. But I think when Dick accepted Christ in Monterey, we seemed to knit together better, or we almost sometimes could read each other's minds, which was good or bad.
Yeah.
But I think at Monterey was the time where we really felt like a tight family. Because, well, he wasn't going off.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't.
He's in college again.
Yeah. He would go off every night to study someplace, but that was I think that was the time when we were really the closest. Just and he had accepted Christ, and we began to pay attention to Christ.
Yeah.
Together. Yeah, I think that would be it.
Cool. That's a good. That's a sweet memory because it's not just physical or something fun. Like a lot of people point to vacations or times that they did this or that, but this is
we did
regenerative.
We on our way to Monterey, we came through. What's the big park? The big
Anaheim.
No.
From San Diego to Monterey, Anaheim, Disneyland.
No, coming across country.
Oh, Cedar.
Where the buffalo are.
Oh, Yellowstone.
Thank you. And
I'm naming theme parks over here, and you're
and the one that's with it. Anyway, I have a picture.
Well, Yosemite's in California, but that's what people confuse.
No, this is. Anyway, I have a
or
picture.
Vice versa.
But we enjoyed that a whole lot.
That was with the whole family?
Yeah, and we had the camper, and we, it was fun.
Yeah. Oh, the Grand Tetons. Is that where you're?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's we like that even better than
Yellowstone.
The big one.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a little flooding, I think, in the big one. But
so, and then, how many years were you married?
We were married 3 weeks short of 30 years.
Wow. Yeah.
When he was killed.
So you knew him in the Navy, 28 years in the Navy. Then he got out for a short time to do some cars, and then immediately went flying again because 30 years, and that's right there. So tell me what happened.
To him? Well, he was flying, and they had a team of, I think, 3 men, the pilots, that took turns flying out, or all flew if they had to.
For the fires.
And, Dick's best friend in the Navy died on a Monday, died of a heart attack in his shower.
Wow.
And I called Dick on Friday and said that Frank had, I called him before Friday, told him that Frank had died and that the funeral would be Saturday. And Dick said, well, I'll try and get down for that. I think I can. So he called me. That must have been before Friday, because he called me Friday night and said, I can't come because so-and-so is going off has to go back to his farm to do something. So I said, okay, all right, then, not a big deal. And that Sunday, he was training a young man to take this other guy's place. And the other guy, they had completed the training. The guy knew how to fly. He was a professional. I mean, he was a professional. He flew for
like commercial. Or was
commercial.
He?
That's
okay.
what I'm looking for. So, but Dick just took him out to show him how to dump the water on the fires and stuff like that. And they were on their way back, and back to the landing, and they flew into a mountain. And the other guy was flying. And when they investigated the whole thing, they found out that he had flown for 18 hours before he went up to be checked out.
Oh, wow.
And I know, in my mind, I know that if Dick had known that, he would not have taken him up.
Yeah.
He'd have waited till the morning or something.
Sure. Wow.
But, God's will.
Yeah.
So
they both passed.
Yeah.
In the side of the mountain there.
Yeah.
And it was...
And then we all went up. Tom needs to know. Well, and I did too. I wanted to know for sure. And so Tom got on the phone with the man that called me, and all he said to me was Joyce, I just have to tell you that Dick's plane crashed and he was killed. And I said, are you sure? I mean, it was just the first thing out of my mind.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know for sure. And he said, oh, come on, honey, you're a Navy pilot. You know. And I said,
that's what he said.
Tell me, yes. I said, tell me if you are positive. He said, yes, we are. Well, I did talk to him. He came down for Dick's funeral. And I said, don't ever talk to a woman like that.
Yeah.
I said, if she wants to know it was real, you tell her, yes, it's real.
What did Tommy say? You said Uncle Tommy
Well,
said.
anyway, then Tom got on the phone, and he was talking to him and asking him questions and stuff. And he got off the phone, and he said, okay, he said, Mom, I'm going up there. And I said, well, honey, not right now. And he said, no, after we get Dad's funeral done, he said, I'm going up. And I said, well, I'll go with you. And Mark was there, and he said, I'm going to. And Brad said the same thing. So we all set off and went up. And, well, someone had to go up anyway and get Dick's motorhome and bring it back down. But
where was this?
Up in Sonora, California. Okay. It's just east of San Francisco. Yeah. So.
And where was all of them went except Beverly?
Oh no, Beverly went too.
Oh, okay. I heard the boy's name.
Well, I forgot her. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because she had just gotten back.
There was something interesting about that too, because when it happened, my immediate thought was, I don't know anyone in the Navy that's here. And I'm thinking, I know I've got to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, wait a minute. Clay has talked to Daddy. So I called Clay. And he said, and I said, well, I saw him at church that morning, and it was his birthday. And I said, well, what are you going to do for your birthday? And he said, oh, I'm going home to bed because I just don't feel good. So here I am. So I called him, and I said, I know you're not well, but could you come over tomorrow and talk to me about this Navy? And told him that Dick had been killed, and he said, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And he came over, and he sat down with Mark, and the two of them just, well, you've got to do this, Mark. You've got to do this. Okay, then this. I didn't have to do anything. It was a blessing, a real.
And who is Clay for the audience?
Oh, well, Beverly married him.
Oh, yeah, my father. Okay.
Your father. Yeah.
So, yeah, he was a young Navy guy at the time.
Right,
That
and
had
he
just
knew about it. And
came to your church in Bend, stationed out to San Diego. And Mom, Beverly, was in Papua New Guinea. Yeah, and so she wasn't supposed to be there. But
Clay said, yeah, she was. Well,
I mean, she wasn't supposed to be back in San Diego.
Yeah, and Clay said, I said, oh, we've got to call Beverly, and I hate to tell her this over the phone. And Clay again said, oh, my uncle is the principal of the school where she teaches. And I go,
in
really?
Papua New Guinea.
In Papua New Guinea. And I said, really? And he said, let me call my uncle. So he called his uncle, and his uncle said, oh, she's gone to a different island just for the weekend or something. And he said, I will fly over there, and I'll get her, and she'll be on a plane tomorrow morning. And so I'm going, okay. Okay.
So she made it back for the funeral.
She came back, and I prayed the whole time, Lord, just put someone in the seat next to her that she can talk to or that will understand, will help her get home. And so she got off the plane, and I said, did you have a good trip? She said, oh, Mom, I had a really good trip. And I said, who sat beside you?
Yeah, she's with her boyfriend, of course.
No, she wasn't with her boyfriend. I said, who sat next to you? And she said, nobody. I think Jesus was there. Well,
that's somebody. That worked.
Ask for it, you got it.
I thought you said Clay had flown out there to get her and bring her back.
No.
Okay.
Her uncle, his uncle, put her on the plane.
Went out to get her from the island.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, went to the other island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but how can you doubt God?
Yeah.
When he put it together, just step by step by step.
Yeah, in something so tragic.
Yeah.
And just orchestrated all of that.
I don't have any idea. I'd still be down there trying to figure out what I was supposed to do, I think.
And what year was this?
This is 86. 1986.
June 29th?
June 29th.
86. 1986.
86.
Okay.
What did I say?
No, you said 86. I was just confirming. Yeah, 1986. So he passed away, and you remained in San Diego then for how long?
A long time.
Too long, some would say?
Yes. Past the 9/11. I think I came up here in 2003. I came up here, rented that house, and built this one, and moved in 2004.
Yeah, nice.
I've been here a long time.
Well, when you say 2004, it doesn't seem like a long time, but then you start doing the math, you're like, oh.
Yeah, this is 22. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're a couple decades. So, yeah, I remember your San Diego place fondly because you used to do butterflies in your gardens.
Oh, yeah. I raised them.
You raised butterflies. That was really cool for me as a kid.
I got praying mantises.
Yeah. And they would have thousands of babies.
Yeah, and then the butterflies would eat them. So.
It's good for your flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those are, good times and multiple times back and forth from when Clay went in the Navy, and then we were moving around everywhere, but we'd always come back and visit you there often.
Yeah.
And see your lovely place. Do you know what your place is worth right now? If you had
I'm not
held
sure
on to that.
I want to.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a different episode.
However, the best, one of the best things about not being there is that the neighbors on each side have both died.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would not, I'd be really alone.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people have moved in, but, they were there the whole time we were there. Mm-hmm. So
knew the family and everything. Yeah. So we'll sort of wrap this up here, but I want to wrap it up with the best for last, our faith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, you've sort of sprinkled it throughout the conversation now in terms of being raised in a family that wasn't particularly Christian. Sounds like your mom was, but didn't go to church or live her life necessarily like that, and Dad certainly wasn't. But would you say if you had to, it's probably not fair to ask to guess if they were believers and in heaven? Do you know, based on the fruit of their life, or how
I think they were. I think that Carol lived at home the whole time that Mom and Dad were there, and she said when Dad died, she talked to him, and that he did accept Christ. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really knows it.
Sure.
But that's as good as it gets, I guess. So.
And he passed away after Mom? Or
No, he passed away. He passed away because he was in the hospital. He had colon cancer and went through the separate bag and all that kind of stuff. And then he got cancer someplace else, some other kind of cancer. And they said, in the hospital, they said, Ansel, you're going to have to go to a nursing home because your wife can't really take care of you anymore. Because they couldn't, Mom and Carol together couldn't lift him and get him to the bathroom or whatever.
Well, they're still eating tomato paste every night, too, for that, probably, right?
I'm sorry?
They're still eating tomato paste for dinners? I mean,
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. So Mom went home with Carol, and Dad died that night in the hospital. Wow. And I think maybe he asked God to take him because he didn't want to go in a nursing home.
Wow.
So
how old was he? Was he older
70,
or young? Okay.
I want to say 76, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have it written down.
And then she passed how soon after?
A few years later, yeah.
What did she pass away from?
She just died. I mean, she had. She might have had.
She just said enough's enough.
Yeah, she might have had a heart attack.
Okay,
but I don't think they knew.
Really?
She just
went to bed one night and
Huh.
And nobody ever followed up on.
Yeah.
This doesn't concern you.
Well, not really. I mean, what am I going to do? Sue somebody?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah,
that's what people think now.
Sure.
Well, somebody should have been able to handle that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, no, they didn't.
People just passed away for no reason.
Yeah. And then Carol died of all her cancers. So.
And you've had multiple heart.
I've had a heart attack, but I have not. I don't have cancer yet, and please.
She's looking heavenward.
Saying no, please.
You had a heart attack and a bypass heart surgery.
Quadruple.
Okay.
The doctor said, I said, well, what did you do? And he said, we bypassed everything we could find to bypass. And I said, okay.
All right, great.
Okay.
And here you are, 87, still living here on 5 acres in your home.
Yep.
And doing everything by yourself to the glory of God, and mowing and eating hungry men meals. And your Dr. Peppers.
My doctor. No, not Dr. Peppers.
What are you on these days?
It's something else now.
Oh, you gave up on Dr.
Pepsi.
Oh, Pepsi.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right, living wild. I mean.
Or whatever.
You got a tattoo, right? Should we share that? You are the wild child, the youngest.
I think you just did.
You're the youngest.
Yes. It's about the size of my thumb. The thumb to the knuckle.
Yeah.
It's very, 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 very small, and it's all Tim's fault.
Oh, the tattoo is my fault.
It is.
Really?
It is.
You're saying
honestly.
this on recorded?
Yes. It is. You got one, and I thought, I remember I wanted one.
Back in my wild days when I just went wherever I did and named my son whatever names I wanted.
When we lived in Virginia Beach, we used to go, I used to go down, take the kids down to this little shopping type buildings.
Yeah.
It wasn't a center.
Sure.
And they had a tattoo place there.
Yeah.
And I used to look in the window and think, oh, gosh, that's really cute. That's really nice, But at that time, you wouldn't be caught dead in a tattoo because it was not the place for a woman or any nice men, really.
Yeah.
It was the sailors that would go in and get everything.
Yeah, definitely the sailors.
Bodies tattooed like you. No. But
wild sailors we are.
And I thought of that, and I thought, well, and I told Dick, and he said, "You're not going in there." Mm-hmm. He said, "If you insist, I'll go with you, but I would really rather you not." And so I just forgot about it.
Yeah.
But when Dick was no longer around, I thought I could get a little tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a little flower.
Where did you go? What was the name of the place?
I can't remember.
Bandana Mike.
No. Where did you go?
That one place in Anacortes.
Yeah, that's where I went.
Yeah.
But, I've showed it to the kids.
Yeah, well, you showed it to me the first time in church, grandmother. I where is this tattoo?
I did, and I can't remember what. Oh,
why?
I know.
You couldn't have waited until after the service, till we were out of the sanctuary even?
You were going, you said you were going someplace, and didn't I want to go with you? And I said, no, I've been there, done that. And everybody just kind of goes, what?
Because you went off on your own and got it.
I know. So I said, well, I got a little bitty one right here.
You pulled down your shirt in church.
Well, nobody saw me but you guys.
And the Lord, Graham.
He knew about it anyway. So,
all right. Anyway, so you're... I know.
I think it
you're
might
ready
be
for
bedtime.
You're ready for your hungry man.
Is that 7:00?
No, it's not. And so your faith, your testimony here. So you marry Dick. You're not necessarily going to a church at the time. No. When did you really? I guess what part of your life outside of the time in your childhood when you said you gave your life to the Lord? Yeah. When is kind of that time that you gave your life or really made that conscious decision to follow Christ? Monterey with Dick then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sort of because. We had a place that sold books, and honestly, I don't know.
Like a Christian bookstore?
Yeah, a Christian bookstore. And we would have wives' groups meetings.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how I got into it, but I would go down there and get a couple of boxes of books and take them to our meetings, and well, some of them I had read and some of them I had not. And then it kind of went from there. I fell into it or something. I don't know. But actually, I've had the biggest, renewal. When Bev and Clay were in that accident.
Oh, just recently?
Yeah. I mean, that's when it...
you've been a believer for
I've
many
been
years.
A believer forever. Well, for many years.
Faithfully following the Lord.
But
in
that
love
hit me.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't do anything for them. I can't go down there and take them in my arms and hold them and make them well. I can't. There's absolutely nothing that I can do for those two kids.
Yeah.
So I sat here and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. And then finally I said, God, you have to be in charge of every little bit of this. And you have to be in charge of my life. So it's all yours. And where do I go from here? It sounds weird, but every morning when I pray, I say, you're in charge, Lord. And I might say, well, I think I have to go to the commissary, or I think I have to do this or do that. But whatever you say, just let me know. And it's working. He's given me peace. I have a security system that Clay and Tom put in for me, and I needed it at that time. But I go to bed and I say, God, take care of me. Take. I can't think. Just you're in charge. The system's on, but you're the one that's going to protect me and keep me. Just give me your peace. And I have only stayed awake one night after my flu shot. And that was really, I was having a hard time with how I was laying and that kind of thing. So I slept, but I didn't really sleep.
Yeah.
So, and I've found that's the best way to go. Just
trusting in the Lord.
Totally. I mean, just really, okay, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And look what he did.
Peace and rest in that.
Yeah, and look what he did with my kids. I mean, who honestly thought that Clay would be walking around and
with a puppy?
Yeah.
Doing anything like
that. I mean, I envisioned him as being stuck in a wheelchair at the very least.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. At the best, we all assumed sort of multiple months of long-term healing and physical
forever.
therapy, and before he was out of a chair or bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
which is a different episode entirely, but for the audience,
sorry, didn't mean to.
No. For the audience listening, my folks had a pretty nasty accident. Many of you already know, in Tahiti just recently. We'll go through that episode, and you can listen to my dad share it personally. But multiple broken ribs and broken neck and punctured.
I'm not sure there was anything that wasn't broken.
Yeah,
really. I mean, they're just
all that. 3 weeks in a coma. So yeah. So if you were to look back, well, you will look back on your life. Look back on your life. What would you say? If you could go back and tell your 8-year-old self something about the Lord, and say, "Little Joyce, you need to remember this about God, or you need to look. You have this to look forward to, or prepare yourself now in this way."
I think I would say, there's more to this than you think there is. You've accepted the Lord. Now, how are you going to show him that you've accepted him? I mean, not that you have to, but how are you going? And I think I know I would change a lot of things in my life that I did on the spur of the moment and didn't have to do or shouldn't have done or whatever. And I'm sorry that the person that led me to Christ didn't follow through. There was absolutely no follow through.
That's part of discipleship at its core, is not just an altar call, but life on life, then
so
training, and
just to have to start the process of trusting God a lot sooner, just would, I could have known that, and I should have, but nobody told me, and it was the kind of thing like, you just do.
Sure.
But, now, I went to, we had a good church, and, they had summer programs and everything, and I went to all of those, but I think I probably would just say pay attention.
Trust in the Lord for all
Trust in
the things that you need in life as opposed to chasing after it. Well, good. You've been a witness to history for 87 years. What is, to sort of wrap this up here, what is one thing throughout the last century that you've seen change in that you maybe wish we still did or still had? Was there any sort of little contraption in the kitchen that we don't have anymore, or any sort of way of life that we don't do anymore, or any sort of thing that, you know, none of us listening to this now would even realize? I mean, we're growing up in the same lifestyle. We just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
If I could be a fly on the wall back in your early life, I mean, to see how America has changed and the world has changed. And
you know, I wish people didn't worship money as much as they do. I don't know whether I'm not sure that's what you mean, but it seems like everybody has to have money. Just they don't necessarily want to work for it.
yeah.
But I don't know. But I don't know what I would change. Maybe get rid of the cell phones. That might be a good idea.
Yeah. Oh.
But it seems like everything, it seems like they're all improvements, and I understand that. They are improvements, but do we need, I don't know that we need that many improvements.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. When we started this and you said you wanted to know something about my early life, I thought, my early life. Well, we used to play. We used to...
Yeah, what did you do all day?
we used to chase fireflies. I mean, we played tag. Those are all kind of dumb things, but...
They sound wonderful things.
We did.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
I don't know.
What's your favorite hymn?
I told your mom. I can't remember.
You told her, great is thy faithfulness?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it is. What is greater than God's faithfulness?
Right. Yeah. To undeserving us.
Yeah.
We'll get to sing that tomorrow. That'll be exciting. with Mom playing the piano.
With 7 others. She said she hasn't. That one we might have to do without the piano.
Oh.
I forgot.
What would you like to say to your kids and to anybody else listening here?
Trust in God, because His faithfulness is forever. There's no limit or change of His faithfulness. He's just always there. If you ask Him to be there, He's always there. I think that's, I don't know.
It's perfect. Amen. All right. Thank you all for listening tonight. This has been a fireside chat with my grandmother, who was alive during the real fireside chats.
I forgot to light the fire.
Oh. In her lovely home. And thank you all for listening. Thank you, Graham, for being on the episode. and we're...
It was less painful than I thought.
That's good. I don't know if that's good. You were expecting this to be painful?
Well, I didn't know what to expect.
You've never had headphones on and a big mic in your face before?
No.
Okay, we'll play this outro here.
Oh.
That's it, folks. You've been listening to AnnaVivo.com.
Oh, there.
With my grandmother, as she pulls the headphones off in pain.
Squeeze.
Graham, we did 2 hours of podcasting tonight. You are a rock star.
No, I'm not. I don't know when to shut up.
That was perfect.
But is that really? What time is that? That's 7 o'clock. Isn't it? It is.
You heard it here, folks.
Oh.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Anna Vivo podcast. We welcome your feedback and ideas. You can learn more about us by simply Googling the word Anna Vivo. This podcast is supported by listeners like you. I am a licensed real estate broker with Compass Real Estate and a nationwide real estate matchmaker. We consult with you for free, find and vet the right real estate professional that specializes in the area and niche you need, are paid by that professional, and they get clients like yourself who want and need their unique specialty or winning track record. If you or someone you know is in the market to buy or sell real estate anywhere in the U.S., don't simply web search the highest paying advertiser. Let us use our licensed experience to find and vet the real and best professional for you. It costs you nothing but a phone call or email with me and has saved my clients financially and emotionally. I'd be honored to serve, and you can reach me direct by email at tim.c.miller@outlook.com. And as always, to God be the glory.